evening and welcome to this edition of News Leader. Today is Tuesday, January the 24th, 2023. I'm Andrew Todd. In tonight's news, Tullahoma swears in its new alderman. We get an update on Tullahoma's watershed, and the snail darter has been delisted from the endangered species list. We'll have all these stories and more on tonight's News Leader.
Parkview Senior Living, active, independent senior living at its finest.
Owning and transporting firearms is a responsibility that should not be taken lightly. In 2021, there were 4,818 firearms stolen from motor vehicles in Tennessee.
Some of those were then used in violent crimes. It is imperative that you keep your gun out of sight and secured when it is stored in your parked vehicle.
If you must store a firearm in an unattended vehicle, make sure it's in the trunk, glove box, or the interior of your vehicle in a secured lockbox. Secure your gun properly when parking in a public area. Securing your gun properly when you're not carrying it is not only the responsible thing to do, but also the law.
We teach Parkinson's patients how to move big and not let the Parkinson's slow them down. I've had patients I've treated in-house that could not even stand up, could not roll over in the bed, left the facility walking with a walker, have come back to us in outpatient and continued their big program and are now completely, handling life. The success of the program is just phenomenal.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. Manchester Police Department has released the name of the deceased male found behind the Manchester Walmart on Tuesday, January 17th. The man has been identified as Carlos Oropeza, a 45-year-old Hispanic male. Police say that foul play is not expected in Mr. Oropeza's death, but results of an autopsy are pending. During the investigation conducted by Manchester Police Department, it was determined that Oropeza most recently resided in West Virginia. Investigators were able to obtain names and phone numbers for individuals that were believed to be family and or friends with the deceased. Authorities were able to notify Oropeza's family on Thursday, January 19th. Authorities were originally alerted to an unresponsive male located behind Walmart at 10:52 a.m. on Tuesday. Police arrived on the scene to find the male was deceased. Thanks to Thunder Radio for their help with this story. At last night's Tullahoma Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, newly appointed Alderman Derek Mann was welcomed to the board and sworn in.
At this time, another special opportunity. We have an alderman-elect. We're going to have him sworn in now. We'd ask Judge Conley and future Alderman Derek Mann step forward to the podium and let Mr. Attorney do his thing. Mr. Conley, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Right hand. I, Derek Mann, Alderman for the City of Tullahoma.
Alderman for the City of Tullahoma.
Do affirm that I will faithfully, truly, and impartially perform the duties of said office during my tenure without fear, favor, or partiality. To the best of my skill and ability. So help me God.
So help me God.
This is the second time Mr. Mann did it, and he keeps improving. Congratulations.
Then, Alderman Mann, you're eligible to vote. Thank you, Judge. We appreciate your support. Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages.
For many senior citizens, life looks like this, but it doesn't have to. When you make your home at Parkview Senior Living, life after retirement takes on a whole new meaning. Daily exercise options, fun outings, happy hour, game nights, movies and popcorn, arts and crafts, enjoying friends over chef-prepared meals. Parkview Senior Living, where you're always home, but you're never home alone.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
We tend to lose our motivation when we have something that's chronic, but you've got to do what you can early on as you can. After I'd exercise like that, I would have a lot of energy to do housework or whatever I needed. Well, I would recommend it highly to anyone at any degree of Parkinson.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. At last week's Mayor Noah's quarterly planning and coordinating committee meeting, Randall Breaker from Duck River Water addressed the gathering about the state of Tullahoma's watershed.
It's going to be a real difficult issue over the next few years, and if you would, as a community, please keep your eyes on that and one eyeball on it, because it does impact our ability to grow and our ability to expand our communities and have the necessary water and wastewater infrastructure that will allow for that growth. The competing communities downstream, like Spring Hill and Columbia, are, as you know, growing rapidly and getting new battery plants and the like, and they have a lot of big plans for their expanding their water and wastewater systems, and this all is a limited resource, and we have to really compete and share at the same time. And it's been a pretty good working relationship. I've been sitting in those meetings for 35 years, and it's worked so far. And I'm hoping that we can hold it together and not have a problem with competing water rights and those kind of things. So as far as the water system, it's operating well. We're not having any real problems. Christmas was a major challenge for us. Rolling blackouts and cold weather were very, very hard on the plant. We had a lot of malfunctions and a lot of breakdowns, but we were able to get through without anybody having any shortage of water, which was the main goal. We pumped the most water we've ever pumped in one day on December 26th to maintain the system because of leaks and people dripping their faucets and the like after that polar blast or whatever we're going to call that. It was 8.4 million gallons pushed out of the plant in one day, which we've never done before except for some testing and exercising and stuff like that. December was the second highest water production month ever for DRUC, and 2022 was the highest production year for DRUC in history. We put 2.34 billion gallons out of the plant for this community and the associated towns around us. Going into next year, it's not looking good to hold the rates very well. We're getting just eat up by power cost and chemical prices and inflation and everything, but we're going to try to keep it as low as possible and potentially, won't be much on your pocketbook, but I think we're going to probably be looking at a small rate increase in 2023-24 for us, which is our fiscal year. But otherwise, everything's good.
Also at last week's Mayor Noah's quarterly planning and coordinating committee meeting, Ashley Abraham spoke to the gathering about what's happening with the Highway 55 United Way.
Hello everyone, I'm Ashley Abraham. I'm the Executive Director at United Way of Highway 55. We have some exciting events and exciting news. Last year, 2022, we distributed close to $50,000 to local nonprofits in the 3 counties we serve, Coffee, Moore, and Warren County. And that does not include helping with projects and individual community assistance almost daily. We want to say thank you to our donors and business in the community support that made this possible. And the Roundup program has been amazing for so many individuals in the community. It's so impactful. So thank you both too for doing that. The second quarter checks, allocation checks to our local nonprofits was distributed this past December. So that was over $10,000 for our community and our local nonprofits. The third quarter allocation checks will go out in February and the final quarter in May. So each partner nonprofit receives 4 checks a year, a fiscal year. Currently, we are helping with the Tullahoma Winter Shelter Project, and this has been such a huge group effort with 5 local churches: Repa Blackwell, Pam Bussell, Tom Murdoch, Cherie Cox, Daniel Berry helped with the signs too. He didn't want me to mention that, but it just proves that it takes a community and so many individuals, especially to make things happen and to help. So we're excited about that. Most nights are about 5 to 10 people, I'd say, sometimes more. Each location has cots, blankets, snacks, hygiene items, breakfast for the next morning by Dameron's. We're very grateful for them. If they are needing more assistance, we definitely want to find them local resources, and we're helping with that as well, as long as they allow us to. The winter shelter will be open till March 4th, and currently it's at Church of Christ at Cedar Lane. I do have copies of the winter shelter schedule on me today, and I also have Middle Tennessee Shelter's sober living facilities copies as well, if you guys would like that too. Spring for us will be very busy, and we're excited about that. We have 2 events scheduled. March 11th, Kat Murray is having her history told by her, Michael Jackson tribute fundraiser at South Jackson. So we want to say thank you to South Jackson and Greg for allowing us to do that again this year. This is the 12th year for that, so the funds raised this year will go to United Way of Highway 55, so we're excited about that too. Last year they went to Imagination Library of Coffee County. Tickets will be sold through us or McMurr's, so thank you, Kat, for choosing our organization this year. Our next event will be April 22nd. We will have our second annual United in Spirits event at Jack Daniels. There'll be tickets sold for that, limited tickets and sponsorship opportunities, and this event will include a live band, delicious food, auction, community nonprofit speakers, and just a fine night out, unite our efforts to raise money for local nonprofits in our area. Allocations, we do this once a year, and this is how we select our partner nonprofits to distribute funds to. That will be in May, so in the spring. Now, we are looking for members to serve on this committee. It is, I think, the best way to learn about what we do in the community, but also the best way to learn about so many amazing missions in our community. So if you want to be a part of that, please come speak to me after. We would love you to be a part of that. Let's see what else. As a reminder, if you know someone needing help or looking for local resources, you can always tell them to call 21211, and that's a free and confidential hotline. It's 24 hours a day. You won't get an automated person, you'll get a real person. So that is a great resource through United Way. That's a lot of information. But please come and talk to me after, and we just want to say it's definitely, we are here because of the community support, and we definitely appreciate each and every one of you guys, so thank you.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I feel like we're safe at Parkview.
There's somebody on staff all the time, so if you need help, help is there.
We are surrounded with people that are looking after us and taking care of us.
The staff is wonderful and always available. We feel so safe and secure here.
I feel safe at Parkview all the time.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me at Life Care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and dozens of conservation partners celebrated the snail darter's recovery and removal from the federal list of threatened and endangered wildlife. The snail darter is the 5th fish species delisted due to recovery in the country and the first in the eastern United States. After an extensive review of the best scientific and commercial information available, the service found this small freshwater fish, native to the Tennessee River watershed in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and Tennessee, is no longer in danger of extinction now or in the foreseeable future. Here's a video of the ceremonial delisting.
In the beautiful mountain waters of East Tennessee, the snail darter has recovered from the brink of extinction and is now officially delisted from the federal list of threatened and endangered wildlife.
The snail darter has been, I think, a poster species for the Endangered Species Act. And think about it, can now serve as a mascot for Endangered Species Act success. After an extensive review of the best scientific and commercial information available, the Fish and Wildlife Service has determined that the snail darter is no longer in danger of extinction, either now or in the foreseeable future. What a remarkable statement. Thank you.
Once a source of controversy in Tennessee, the snail darter's story grew into one of collaboration and conservation partnerships.
In 1973, Dr. Etnier discovered the existence of the snail darter, and then just 6 years later, in 1979, TWA's Morristown Hatchery, which is located about 30 miles from here, began serving as the temporary home for the snail darter. Dr. Etnier and the students collected the fish from the Little Tennessee River prior to the closing of the gates on the dam. The collected snail darters were held in circular tanks for a short period of time until appropriate sites were identified for relocation. Titty biologists were involved with the development of management strategies and met with all involved agencies to work on recovery plans for the species. Over the years, Titty has assisted with continued reviews and revisions of the recovery plans and assisted with status surveys, particularly in the French Broad and the Holston Rivers. So recently, Titty's been involved with post-delisting monitoring plans with the Fish and Wildlife Service and other state agencies in the southeast. And of course, we will continue to assist with efforts going forward to monitor populations here in East Tennessee.
For his 30-year career in aquatic biology and his contributions to the recovery of the snail darter, Dr. Etnier was presented a Lifetime Achievement Award from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
I want to also thank all of my former students, colleagues, friends, and family for slogging through bogs, swamps, creeks, and rivers for decades in support of our search to understand and protect aquatic ecosystems.
During the event, officials from TWRA, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the TVA released another threatened species, the yellowfin madtom, into the river, in what they hope could be the last conservation effort needed for their recovery. But there's still more work to be done.
There's currently more than 100 species in Tennessee designated as threatened or endangered and are afforded protection under the Endangered Species Act. So I'm proud of the work that our TWRA staff have done and know that they will continue devoting their efforts to protecting, managing, and conserving and recovering fish and wildlife species that call Tennessee home.
And partnerships with the federal government ensure Tennessee species can thrive.
ESA protections benefit these species by raising awareness about conservation threats, inspiring diverse partnerships on their behalf, and helping us conserve habitat critical to conservation and recovery. The delisting of the snail darter shows that recovery is possible, but it does require this extraordinary community-level commitment.
Now more than ever is the time to be proactive, collaborative and innovative in our efforts to save threatened fish and wildlife species. Tennessee's conservation efforts are funded by the sales of hunting and fishing licenses. Do your part to support species recovery by getting outdoors and joining Tennessee's conservation community.
We'll be right back with more news after these messages.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. Get to Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
He's a little bit of you, he's a little bit of me. He's the trash along the roadside of Tennessee. He's the garbage that we find. He's the dream we left behind. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. A throwaway bottle or pop top can may not seem much to a traveling man, but a little bit of litter goes a long, long way. Rolling and growing, getting bigger every day. Tennessee trash messing up the highways. Tennessee trash jogging up the byways. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash.
We have met the enemy, and he is us.
Welcome back. Tennesseans saw a handful of new laws go into effect on January 1st, among them a pro-consumer law making it easier to cancel online subscription-based products and services. While most new Tennessee laws are timed to take effect July 1st, when the state's new fiscal year begins, a few are tied to New Year's Day. Representative Dan Howell, Republican from Ocoee, brought the legislation aimed at making it easier for Tennesseans to cancel automatic renewals on paid online subscription-based products and services. After the measure, House Bill 1652 began moving in the legislature last winter. Howell said during an interview he brought the bill after a constituent expressed frustration about being subscribed unknowingly to situations and having no way to unsubscribe. The law is designed for consumers who decide they no longer want to auto-renew and there's no way to unsubscribe. When they can subscribe online, but they can't unsubscribe online. The law, Public Chapter 803, goes into effect at midnight Saturday. Another law taking effect is named after Dallas DJ Barrett, who died in an altercation with security guards at the Nashville honky-tonk Dierks Bentley Whiskey Row in 2021. The law requires new training for bar bouncers, including instruction in de-escalation and safe restraint techniques, as well as emergency first aid and CPR training. Police said Barrett, 22, was held to the ground during the fight. The medical examiner said he died of oxygen deprivation, according to an account in the Tennessean. Another new law, Public Chapter 785, requires the Department of Children's Services to provide financial stipends equal to 50% of the full foster care rate to eligible relatives who are caregivers and have custody of a child who remains at risk of entering state custody. The law reimburses eligible relatives of foster youth to support the cost of raising the child. It also expands eligibility to ages 18 through 21 for foster youth transitioning from state custody to adulthood to access services. Senator Paige Wally, Republican from Savannah, a bill co-sponsor, said in a statement, quote, "This legislation will help keep foster kids in family without them coming into state custody and experiencing the trauma that can occur. I believe this legislation is a step in the right direction for our kids, our families, and our state," end quote. Legislative analysts project the annual cost of that for the state budget at $49.34 million by the 2026-27 budget year, according to a legislative fiscal note. If the program is successful, however, it could actually wind up saving taxpayers money, according to the bill analysis. Other new laws include Public Chapter 842, a directive to the state departments of correction, mental health and substance abuse services, as well as human services, to work with nonprofit organizations to provide mandatory training to appropriate personnel on the identification, intervention, prevention, and treatment of human trafficking victims. And Public Chapter 996, the law strengthens privacy protections for Tennessee homeowners who may not want their home address easily accessible. The law allows homeowners to file a written request to the property assessor to have their first and last name appear as unlisted in the ownership field of online databases. Bill sponsor Senator Richard Briggs, Republican from Knoxville, said in a statement, quote, "There have been instances where law enforcement officers, in particular deputies or police officers, have had individuals find out where they live and literally come to their homes. This law would help prevent situations like that from happening," end quote. And don't forget to tune into this week's Living Show tonight at 6:30 p.m., Thursday morning at 9 a.m., and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings at 6:30 p.m. This week's guests include Brian Wofford from Duck River Watershed, local storyteller and interim Parks and Rec Director Lyle Russell, and Robin Dunn will fill us in about the third Tullahoma TEDx event coming to the area. All that and more on this week's Living. And stay with us, we'll have your weather forecast right after these messages.
One thing about Parkview, we could bring our animal out there with us.
It would have been a deal breaker if we had not been able to take Gracie.
Yeah, we would not have gone.
If you want to do something, there's something to do most of the day. You shouldn't get bored.
I really enjoy my life here at Parkview. I really choose what I want to do. We have a wonderful library with hundreds of books that I love. It is a wonderful place.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this date. Our record high was in 1943 at 78 degrees. Record low was in 1963 at negative 10 degrees. The average high for this day is 48 and the average low is 29. Windy with some rain tonight with a low of 41. Rain moving out on Wednesday with a high of 52 and a low of 33, and a 20% chance of snow, rain and snow, for Thursday with a high of 40 and a low of 25. And that's our News Leader report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evenings at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. for News Leader. Stay safe and have a great evening.